What happens when life takes everything you've worked for and leaves you with nothing but despair? For James, a successful businessman, a devastating diagnosis brought him to the brink of hopelessness. But one fateful encounter in a hospital room transformed his perspective and gave him a new reason to live. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Stories Unfolded. We share incredible tales of resilience, inspiration, and life's unexpected twists. Let's dive into this story. James had spent most of his life chasing success. By 45, he had built a thriving real estate empire, complete with luxury cars, a sprawling mansion, and a packed schedule of meetings, networking events, and high-stakes deals. People admired him, envied him, and often said he was the definition of the American dream. But beneath the surface, James's life wasn't as perfect as it seemed. He had sacrificed relationships, neglected his health, and rarely took a moment to appreciate his achievements. "I'll slow down when I'm old," he used to tell himself. That was until a persistent pain in his abdomen forced him to see a doctor. The diagnosis was a punch to the gut: Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. James sat in the sterile office, staring blankly as the oncologist explained the prognosis. The words incurable and limited time echoed in his mind. For the first time in his life, James felt powerless. The days that followed were a blur of confusion, fear, and despair. James canceled meetings, ignored emails, and withdrew from friends and colleagues. The once-driven entrepreneur spent hours sitting in his darkened study, grappling with the reality of his situation. "What's the point of any of it?" he muttered to himself one night, staring at the walls lined with awards and certificates. They felt meaningless now. Despite his despair, James eventually checked into a hospital for a round of chemotherapy. His doctors encouraged him to fight, but James felt like he was going through the motions. He didn't see the point in prolonging a life that seemed to have lost all meaning. During his hospital stay, James shared a room with a young man named Alex. At 18, Alex was battling leukemia. He was thin, pale, and hooked up to an IV, but his energy was infectious. "Hey, I'm Alex," he said with a bright smile when James arrived. "What brings you here?" James offered a weak smile in return. "Pancreatic cancer. You?" "Leukemia," Alex replied matter-of-factly. "Third time around. But hey, they say third time's the charm, right?" James was taken aback by Alex's positivity. "You don't seem scared," he said. Alex shrugged. "What's the point of being scared? I mean, yeah, it sucks. But if I sit around feeling sorry for myself, I'll just waste the time I have." James didn't know how to respond. Over the next few days, James and Alex talked between treatments. James learned that Alex had been diagnosed with leukemia at 15. Despite the setbacks, Alex had managed to graduate high school with honors and was planning to start college as soon as he got the all-clear from his doctors. "I want to be a teacher," Alex said one evening, his eyes shining with determination. "I want to make a difference for kids who feel like they don't belong." James couldn't help but admire Alex's resolve. Here was a young man with every reason to give up, yet he was fighting not just to survive, but to thrive. One night, as the hospital ward quieted down, James watched Alex pull out a notebook and start writing. "What are you working on?" James asked. Alex grinned. "It's my gratitude list. I write down 3 things I'm thankful for every day. It helps me focus on the good stuff instead of the bad." James raised an eyebrow. "Gratitude? Isn't that a little optimistic?" Alex laughed. "Maybe. But it works. You should try it." Skeptical but curious, James borrowed a pen and a scrap of paper. He stared at the blank page for what felt like forever. Finally, he wrote, "My company gave me purpose. My doctors are trying to help me. Alex." The act of writing those 3 simple statements sparked something in James. Over the following days, he began noticing small moments of beauty and kindness, the way the nurses treated every patient with compassion, the warmth of the sunlight streaming through the window, the sound of Alex's laughter echoing through the room. For the first time in weeks, James felt a flicker of hope. He started to reflect on his life. Yes, he had achieved great success, but he had also overlooked what truly mattered: relationships, kindness, and the joy of simply living. James decided to channel his newfound perspective into action. With Alex's encouragement, he began using his time in the hospital to connect with others. He struck up conversations with patients, offering them words of encouragement and listening to their stories. One day, James overheard a young nurse talking about how she couldn't afford her college textbooks. Without hesitation, he wrote her a check to cover the cost. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her eyes brimming with tears. James smiled. "Because I can." By the time James was discharged, he had a new sense of purpose. He knew his time was limited, but instead of focusing on what he couldn't change, he decided to make the most of every moment. Back at home, James began donating to charities that supported cancer research and patient care. He also started mentoring young entrepreneurs, sharing not just his business expertise, but also the life lessons he had learned. And every week, he visited Alex in the hospital, cheering him on through his treatments. Months later, Alex received the news he had been waiting for. His leukemia was in remission. James was there to celebrate with him, beaming with pride. "You did it, kid," James said, clapping Alex on the back. Alex grinned. "No, we did it. You showed me how to keep fighting." James's condition continued to decline, but he faced it with grace and courage. He spent his remaining months surrounded by friends, family, and the people whose lives he had touched. Before he passed away, James wrote a letter to Alex. "Dear Alex, you gave me more than I could ever repay. Your strength, positivity, and determination reminded me of what truly matters in life. Never forget the impact you can have on the world. Thank you for being my friend. With gratitude, James's." Alex framed the letter and kept it on his desk as he pursued his dream of becoming a teacher, carrying James's legacy of hope and kindness with him. This story reminds us that even in the darkest moments, there is light to be found. James and Alex's journey shows us the power of perspective, gratitude, and the impact one life can have on another. If this story moved you, please like and share it with someone who needs a reminder of the power of hope and resilience. Don't forget to subscribe to Stories Unfolded for more inspiring tales of courage, kindness, and transformation. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.